it's a simple one, but I'll try and just like take it slowly. It's not the best formatted example, but it's fine. Basic variable assignment. So this code should store a string as a variable called name, but it's not working. Can you figure out why? So before I even begin with the solution, or just trying to think about it, this example here, this demonstration is meant to be like, how do you write your own test? So this little box down below is where we'll play. We'll spend some time. So we'll make it a little bit bigger so we can have a look at this. So this gives us some information about what we can do here. Now it might be a little bit like a lot of things here, but let's just break it down. So TDD is an acronym, a 3-letter acronym. Everyone loves 3-letter acronyms about a development process. Like how do you write code? I'm not going to spend too much talking about this because this is something that we'll expand on at length at Makers, or even just in any real the team that you work in is trying to how do you drive the development of your code or software using a test first approach. And it's really all in your mindset. It's like, do you know what the end state that you're trying to reach? Do you know what it is? Can you visualize what the return value is? So if you can do that, you can then codify that in a test. So do you know what you're trying to do? If you know what you're trying to do, write it down in a test, like essentially like a use case, and just say if I give this method or this object or this function, whatever you're trying to do, if I give it this bit of input, I should get this output. That's what I'm aiming for. Once that's clear, then you can then implement it. That's the idea behind test-driven development, really. I've given it a gross simplification, but there we are. So in order to be able to do that, we need to be able to write a test. So here's some of the language that we can use. We have 3 methods. You can use expect, assert equals, and assert not equals. So let's have a look. Describe solution. It should test for something. So we operate with blocks here. So we're trying to nest this bit of code inside of this bit of code. And there are a couple of different reasons we do this. One is so it's visual, so we can see groups of kinds of tests. And there is a way that Ruby can evaluate things using nested blocks. We won't worry about that one for the moment. So when we want to write a test, it looks like we follow this notation. So I want to add another test. I could just copy this and copy it. Indentation, boom. So I'm going to have a look at just like if I run it, what happens. So it starts to try and run some of these errors. I'm just going to comment everything out at the moment, just like not worry about some of the code I wrote in my solution blocks. I just want to see what happens when I use this box to write tests. So you can see I have 2 tests. Should test for something. Let's rename them. Should test for like, let's call it like I don't know, number 1. These are not very good names, but let's just be clear. Like these are things that we can edit and play around with. This is my basic variable assignment tests. Let's just call it, yeah. Cool. So you can just see like I'm just changing some of the text that appears on my result. If I wanted to change like what the error message is, I could just be like, it's wrong. I think I'd get quickly irritated if that was my error message all the time. So then we can actually just have a look at what this method is doing. Set equals just checks 2 values. So it checks the left against the right. So Say, for example, I want to make sure that we have the number 5, and I don't give it 5, I give it 4. That's going to be a failure. So it says expected 5, always on the left, is what we're trying to make sure it's equal to, and this is the one that we give it. So expected 4 got 5. I think I actually just said that the wrong way around. So this is the expectation on the right hand side, and this is what we give it. We could use like the opposite. We could use the set not equals, which would just be the opposite. So in this case, this would be true. So this would pass because they are not equal to each other. Yay. So we can play around using the idea of these tests. So let's have a look at how we can use this. We have our instructions that say the code should store code wars. We could try and turn this into a method. There is no method here, so it's just trying to have a variable name. So maybe that's something that we can work with, where we are going to use name, and name should be stored in here, as it said, code wars. Cool. So it says it doesn't know what name is. If we try and set name to be something, cool. Looks like we get there. So if I wanted to use the way that it was trying to break it down, the way that I would do it would be to just use the assignment operator. Change this to be concatenating strings. Returns full string after concatenating. I don't know. Cool. So that's just a quick intro to writing your own tests in Code Wars.